The 7 most common fantasies, dreams, and how to deal with them. Fantasies are quite natural. To start, let's acknowledge that everyone has sexual desires. Yes, everyone in the human race occasionally lets their thoughts wander to the dark side. Many people feel guilty about their erotic fantasies and turn-ons, but they should know that these are entirely normal. The more we discuss a sexual fantasy and make it common, the less we'll criticize ourselves for having twisting, sexual, or steamy thoughts, the author claims. This fantasy crib sheet was created as a result. Continue reading to find out what we're all fantasizing about in our filthy dreams and how, if you wish, to play them out in real life. Although there are countless options, there are 7 major groups. It turns out that your sexual fantasies are more common than you probably realized. There are 7 basic fantasy themes, according to Justin Leigh Miller, PhD, an internationally renowned sex educator, who reached this conclusion after completing a 350-question, 4,000+ participant survey in 2021. Although the options are limitless, there's a good possibility that your sizzling fantasy will be fulfilled here. And if not, let's just say you have more imagination than most people. Wink? Multiple partner sexual activity. When Theon Greyjoy stripped down in front of 2 dead queens in that Game of Thrones moment, were your eyes transfixed onto the screen? Do your hands flutter between your legs at the idea of a large orgy? It's not just you. The most popular arousal method in America is group sex. Why is group sex so seductive? The majority of people's multi-partner sex dreams make you the center of attention, according to Engel. Part of the turn-on is the notion that numerous individuals want to have sex with you. Orgies, threesomes, and similar situations also lead to sensory overload. Consider it, compared to a twosome or solitary session, there are just more bits, scents, tastes, holes, pulls, and sounds. How to handle it? Every imagination fits into one of Engel's 3 categories. There are certain things that we keep to ourselves, some things that we discuss with our lovers to have sexual activity more steamy, and some things that we'd like to attempt in real life. Don't overthink it if this is only a fantasy for you. Ask for permission before using this sort of language in bed if you want to communicate this desire with your spouse but aren't going to carry it out. I've been thinking it may be great to speak through a dream of another lady going down on you in bed, for instance. How do you feel? Desiree, real life group sex. Good tidings according to sex educator Cassandra Corrado with O.School, group sex is a relatively attainable ideal. You might not be able to have sex with your favorite celebrity, but you can surely find someone ready for a threesome. If you're in a relationship, discuss whether you'd like a one-time or continuous encounter, as well as if a friend or a total stranger. Set restrictions on certain interactions. Rough sex, control, or all 3. Because Whips and Chains thrill millions of Americans, play S&M by Rihanna. The second most common fantasy is based on sadism and masochism, S&M, and bondage, discipline, domination, and submission, BDSM. BDSM primarily deals with a mutual transfer of power, whether it be in a sexual or non-sexual context. According to Engel, those who are constantly in charge outside of the bedroom might find the thought of being sexually subservient enticing. A sense of authority and the forbidden nature of rough sex make the concept of being in charge appealing. This kind of role-playing includes father-daughter, professor-student, and boss-employee relationships, as well as forced sex, or simulated rape as Dr. Leigh Miller refers to it. S&M is about inflicting pain on one another, whether through spanking, whipping, humiliation, or other methods. Since it is a vulnerable sort of play, Corrado asserts that it is really about radical trust. And there is arousal potential in that vulnerability. How to handle it? BDSM includes a broad variety of sexual acts, such as spanking, blindfolding, electroplay, and needle play. Therefore, the first step in putting this idea into action in real life is to make sure it's safe, sane, and consensual, SSC. Next, determine what the fantasy is in detail before discussing it with your partner. Daniel Syant, the creator of NSFW, a club that hosts sex-positive events and seminars, argues that whatever the desire, there should be a strategy in place around what will happen in that sexual scenario. In doing so, he continues, you can completely prevent the possibility of unwanted or consensual behaviors, even in the presence of control play. Define the scenario as follows. Decide on a secure phrase. Discuss the various roles. Establish limits. Move slowly. Keep in touch at all times. Novelty, excitement, and diversity. Sex on a mountainside or beach. Boning in the restroom of an airliner or while sporting a butt plug. Having a good time in a park. Having intercourse in a new place or combining unique sexual activities, such as anal or oral, are typical themes in fantasies. For certain people, arousal is tied to that sense of adrenaline, according to Corrado. The feeling of facing the unknown, and attempting something for the first time might give you an exhilarating adrenaline surge, he adds. According to Engel, preserving novelty in long-term partnerships is essential for preventing sexual boredom and having an active sex life. The passion you felt at the beginning of the relationship is rekindled by trying something new. How to handle it. For one individual, anything that is innovative or new might not be for another. Thus, the what and where of different people's imaginations will differ. The first stage is to discuss the addition of the act, whether you want to investigate anal play, non-missionary penetrative sex, 69ing, or bringing food into the bedroom. By structuring this conversation around what you can bring to your sexual activity, you may prevent making your partner feel inadequate. Try I enjoy having you inside of me. Would you be open to trying something new the next time we have sex? Alternatively, you may say, I love the way you look between my legs, would you want to taste me the next time we have sex? What if you wanted to carry out the same routine outside of the bedroom? Once more, ask your spouse whether they'd be up for it. Remember, it's against the law to have sex in public in the United States. Risks include being accused of public immorality, indecent exposure, lewdness, and obscene displays. Non-monogamy. In addition to being typical masturbation material for those in monogamous relationships, open partnerships, polyamory, and swinging are becoming more and more accepted as healthy and happy relationship structures. The majority of people's fantasies include mutual non-monogamy. In other words, one spouse has given the other their okay for extramarital activity. Some people dream of having their non-monogamy. Others have fantasies about their partners having extramarital affairs. Cuckolding is the unique dream of seeing or learning, in detail, after the fact about your lover having sex with someone else. Less than 0.5% of respondents stated they found cheating, being unfaithful, or engaging in adultery to be rousing. How to handle it. Establish whether you want this, advises Engel, since that is a different animal than just having the fantasy, first. If you wish to alter the way your relationships are structured, Corrado advises that you start by analyzing what that means to you. Some people have a strong idea of the one love partner they want, but they also want to explore their sexuality with other people. Some people desire long-term, passionate relationships with several partners. Once you can express such desires, discuss them with your spouse. If you decide to continue forward with your relationship, you'll need to practice this sort of open communication, she advises. Not everyone will be comfortable with changing their relationship structure, she adds. Corrado provides the following suggestions if you're experiencing dreams about cheating. Determine the cause of your fantasy. Are you unhappy in your marriage? Do you want a surge of adrenaline? Is there any other internal disagreement now occurring? How do you feel about the fantasy? Investigating your emotions could help you identify your unmet requirements. Then, find your WHY. If it's best for you, separate from your partner or attend couples counseling. Either skydive or address the root problem. Alternately, pursue your fantasy. However, keep in mind that unethical non-monogamy violates the ground rules or parameters of your relationship, and there can be repercussions like guilt emotions or your spouse leaving you if they find out. Embarrassing and illegal sex. We crave what we can't have both inside and outside of the bedroom. It's how our brains operate, claims Engel. Any sexual interaction or behavior that would put us in danger, or that would be viewed as strange, illegal, or repulsive in real life, might be enticing. Common taboos include worshipping leather or lycra as well as licking feet or armpits. The most prevalent forms of prohibited sex are voyeurism, observing others engage in sexual activity without their knowledge or consent, and exhibitionism, exposing one's genitalia while others observe, sometimes with, sometimes without their consent. How to handle it? Voyeurism and non-consensual exhibitionism are prohibited because they involve unwilling subjects being exposed to your privates or observed. While fantasizing about these could be fun, they shouldn't be used in everyday life. You may experience a similar feeling by putting a mirror in front of your bed so you can see yourself in it, traveling to a sex club or party, or playing the role of voyeur or exhibitionist with your partners in a consenting manner. You can discuss other sexual wants with your partners and, based on their preferences, carry them out. Love and passion. Long beach walks, candlelight meals, and keeping eye contact while making love aren't simply romantic cliches, it turns out. All of them are a part of the ideal of being coveted, personal, and romantic. Many individuals, adds Corrado, want to be treated like kings. Romantic gestures may make us feel valuable to that person since they demonstrate a great amount of time, effort, and sometimes even money being put in. How to handle it? If you often find yourself thinking about this, it may be a sign that you don't feel valued in your current situation. You and your partner may need to spend more time together if you are in a relationship. You may also need to study one another's love languages or have sex in positions that allow you to maintain eye contact. Saying advises single people to consider conducting a massage chair with a buddy, treating themselves to a beautiful supper, or making love to themselves in the dark. Erotically flexible. Here, there are mostly two categories. Gender-bending fantasies, in which a person experiments with how they appear and dress as a certain gender, or has a partner who does. Delusions of sexual fluidity, in which the depicted behaviors or people seem to contradict one's sexual orientation. What draws people to them so much? It may be liberating, creative, and exciting to experiment with and assume several characters, according to Corrado. It enables us to access a side of ourselves that is rarely expressed. In addition to adding something fresh, novel, and exciting to your sex life, Dr. Leigh Miller claims that bending gender roles and orientation also lets people challenge cultural norms of what people are supposed to be or do. Additionally, Corrado adds that having the freedom to do or be what and who you're not meant to do or be with your relationship gives a layer of safety and vulnerability that further links us with our spouse. How to handle it? These fantasies may occasionally stem from a desire to investigate your sexuality or gender identity and presentation. However, specialists claim that most of the time it results from a desire to feel at ease with a partner. As usual, the key to discovering whether your thoughts of gender bending or sexual flexibility fit with those of your partner is communication. What's the point then? There are many more reasons individuals have sexual fantasies, even though you could learn a thing or two about what you desire from them. Reasons for fantasizing, in order of most to least frequent. To explore a sexually forbidden urge to plan out a future sexual encounter to feel more sexually confident because we're bored to experience arousal. Because we're fascinated by diverse sexual sensations to address unmet needs to escape reality to plan a future sexual encounter. Does it differ based on gender? What people dream about has a lot in common with gender identities of all kinds. The primary distinction is how frequently people engage in a certain dream. Men are more prone than other genders to have fantasies involving many partners or prohibited situations. Women are more prone than other genders to experience BDSM or romantic fantasies, and they do so more regularly. How do you tell your lover about your fantasies? It all comes down to whether you want to, and it is legal to, live out your desire in real life before you decide whether or not to bring it up. Less than 20% of Americans have brought up their sexual desires with a partner, even though 77% of Americans say they wish to do so. The stages listed below might be helpful if you're ready to involve your partners in the dream and the action is obvious to be consensual, legal, and safe. Be sure to prepare a thorough communication. Then, keep in touch throughout and beyond. No matter what dream you're attempting, use a safe phrase. Look into the safest methods for everyone's delight. Continue using safer sex techniques. Slow down. No need to rush. If something doesn't go as planned, communicate and maintain your composure. The conclusion. It's common to have sexual fantasies. Some people could only be hot in your head. Some of these you might wish to try out in the real world. Consider seeing a sex therapist. Discuss the cravings if you often have sexual thoughts about forbidden acts and wish to explore them in real life. If not, exhale deeply and consult your companion. They probably have one or two sexual fantasies of their own that they'd like to try in real life as well.